the reality in life is that there's two parts to things that happen to us and things that we do. There's the process of how things happen, and then there's results. We like results. We want to get there. Like when you get in the car and the kids in the back and they're like, "Mommy, when are we getting there already?" Because the getting there appears to be the goal. And the way it works in real life is that there's a whole process of how to get there. And most of life we spend in process. We spend in the parts of life that are on the way to something else. And so you're not really there till you're there, but then, keep on going. And then when you get there, you realize that there's nothing there. It's like, okay, you climbed up the mountain, you got to the summit. What do you do on the top? Today we have right? You get to the top of the mountain. What do you do on top of the mountain? Yeah. No, come on. If you climb, then you reach all the way to the top of the mountain. There's one thing you got to do on top of the mountain before you go down. A picture. You got to have that selfie. What's the point? You may never look at it. You may never nothing. No, but getting there means taking a selfie. That's the definition. Okay, now you're there. You're good. Now what? Nothing. You got there. Okay. And nothing. But what if we can change the way we think about things, and instead of seeing process as a necessary part of getting there, actually look at process as a goal. That process can actually be a real goal and purposeful. And to look at getting there as part of the process. And that's, you're just going to enjoy the ride. It's a great, fun ride, lots going on. And the whole thing, the whole journey of life is exciting. So if you're making a wedding, there's the making of the wedding. There's the actual moment of the wedding. But there's a whole preparation for getting to the wedding. And maybe what we want to do is enjoy every moment and savor the process. And then when the actual thing happens, it'll be like, wow, okay, another part of the process. And it's not like, oh wow, all this for one evening and that's it. Yeah, it's for one evening, and then something happens at the wedding and it's this process. And then the next morning is a new process, and it's going to continue. So we'll take a look at this concept in the eyes of Torah, from a story that transpires in the Torah, a big, huge, giant argument that erupts in the Torah, and that has ramifications all through the Torah because of how powerful it was, and it was a challenge to the very core of what Torah represents. So there was a man by the name of Korach, and he went to Moshe and Aaron, and he insisted that he be the Kohen Gadol. And why should the high priest be Aaron? I want to be the high priest. So what it looks like is that the message of Korach is very simple. He wanted power, right? So there's lust, and there's the covet, the recognition that a person needs. And what you learn from the message is that when you're jealous and you have lust and you need desire, so the Mishnah says, "Hakin'a v'ata'ava v'akavod," which is jealousy, desire, and the need for recognition, motzi'in et ha'adam min ha'olam, removes you from the world. So Korach had all three. He insists on picking a fight for no reason against Aaron. And he comes to Moshe, and he had all these different arguments that he came back with, and he was a brilliant man. And all he wanted was that he should be the one in charge, and he should be the high priest, and nobody else should. But if the Torah decided to enshrine this story in the very body of Torah, then there must be a lesson to us. Now, note, Torah is hora'ah. When you say the word Torah, what does Torah mean? In English, instruction. The Torah is an instruction as to how to live life. It's not a storybook. It transmits it in story format, but the Torah is not a story. It's anything but a story. What is the Torah? Instruction on how we can live life. There's no instruction in telling us that Korach was a bad guy, and he rebelled, and he wanted something, So last time when we discussed, right, the Mikoshesh Eitzim, the guy who, everyone rebels. In this part of Torah, everyone's rebelling. rebels in the desert. There's the Meraglim, the spies. There's the Mekoishesh. In between, there was the Ma'apilim, right? He said, don't go up. So they insisted they're going to go Dafka. And they went into the land of Israel and they died. And then there's the Mekoishesh was desecrated, the Shabbos. And then there's Koirach. And then you follow through, there's so many of them as we go right away, right? All the next few parashas in Torah are filled with all these people who rebelled. But guess what? Every rebel of them made it into the Torah. So the way to appreciate what they did is if we can bring it to us, and like we discussed last time, if I can find my own rebellion. And in order for this to work, we have to actually take the side of Korach. In other words, we have to realize as an instruction in life that it's not just a quest for, oh, I just jealous and I just want things and I just want recognition. Because that's something you want to run away from, right? It's not really exactly the proper way. But what if we can find there's a real argument for Korach and understand that what he wanted was actually spectacular? He was right. Me too. And then you pull over to the side of Moshe. Oh, then it becomes an instruction in life. Then it becomes something real which we can live by. So what we want to do is really jump in and deep dive and understand what he wanted. What was this about? And then perhaps from that we can pull out an instruction in life. So, ready? What did Korach want? It says, the Medrash tells us that Korach had a few arguments. He didn't just walk over and say, I want to be the high priest. He said it, and he had a whole bunch of arguments that he brought. What led him to do so? So Korach was the son of Yitzhar. Yitzhar was the son of Kehat, son of Levi. So Levi had 3 sons, Gershon, Kehat, and Merari. And Kehat had 4 sons, Amram, Yitzhar, Hebron, and Uziel. Amram was the father of Moshe and Aaron. Yitzhar was the father of Korach. So Korach and Moshe were first cousins, which was exactly the issue. How can you take everything for yourself? The names of the people in Torah have significance to them. Yitzhar means, what's Yitzhar? We're supposed to know the word because we say it every day, multiple times a day in the Shema. You'll gather your grain, tiroshcha, your wine, and your oil. Yitzhar is oil. Amar, in the pasuk in Daniel, is Amar Nekei, is the wool of a sheep. The Amar is the hair. Amar means the hair, and Yitzhar means the oil. And that's going to become significant in understanding the argument. The Medrash tells us that what Korach said was that I am the son of oil. My father is oil. Why was he named oil? Because he embodies what oil is. As opposed to you, who were only anointed. Aaron was anointed with oil. They poured oil on him when they made him a Kohen Gadol. So he says, you have oil poured on you. I am oil. So that's Medrash number 1. Medrash number 2 is that the parasha of Korach follows right after the mitzvah of tzitzis, putting on tzitzit. Right? So it says Korach came over and he said as follows. He said, tzitzis is made up of, there's a talis, there's a garment, and the garment has little strings on it, the strands, right? He says, let me ask you a question. The halacha is that the tzitzit, the strings, need to have tcheles on them. We don't do it today. Today we make them just white. But tcheles is a color that resembles tcheles dem el yam, v'yam dem el rakia, v'rakia dem el kisei hakovod. Tcheles is a color that resembles the ocean resembles the heaven resembles the throne of Hashem. So he says, what happens if I make you a talis, where the talis, the garment, is made out of tcheles? The color tcheles, the wool, it's made out of the fish, whatever's made out of that. Is it still obligated in the strings or not? He thought Moshe would say, For sure not. And then he says, so how come you want to rule over and that you let Aaron be the Kohen Gadol? And you wonder, like, what? What's the connection? The talus and the tzitzis, what's the connection? Right? So we'll take a look at, for now, at these three arguments. He had more arguments, like the house full of books, etc. But let's take a look at these three. And from these three, we will deduce and understand what Korach wanted. The oil. I'm fully oil. And you are not oil. You're just anointed with oil. We're going to add to that there's something special and unique that Korach was upset about. And that is that the verse, the pasuk says in Tehillim, "Kashemen atov al harosh yored al hazakan, zkan ha'aron sheyored al pi midotav." It's like the oil that runs over, right? Yored al harosh, Hashemen atov al harosh, on the head, and it comes down on the beard of Aaron HaKohen. And Korach was jealous that Aaron had a beard, because the Levim had to shave completely. The Levim shaved every part of their body, from head to toe. That's why it's called Korach. What does Korach mean in English? Bald. Bald. Kereach. So he's upset about that. So it's like 3 arguments and a bit. 4 maybe. Right? Number 1 is the oil. I'm oil and you're just anointed with oil. I'm son of Yitzhar, you're not. Number 2 in that is that I have to be bald. It's not fair. And you have hair. You're the son of Amram. Amram means hair, and I'm not. And you're allowed a beard, and I'm not. Then he added that the argument about the talus. If a talus is fully tcheles, does it need tzitzis or not? He says it does not need the strings. And finally, he goes into the kill. I want to be the Kohen Gadol. So he's arguing on the kiuna. And if we are to take a zoom out and understand what it is, we'll begin to understand what Korach wanted. Let's start with the one of the talus. Let's understand why we Jews wear talus. Talus is one of the most, it's really, it's a beautiful, beautiful mitzvah. Because, you know, there was a Jew by the name of Rabbi Gershon Mendel Gerelik, Alav Shalom, just passed away last year. And he was a holy Jew, but his kids and grandchildren said they remember one thing about him. He would daven all day. And like just he would with talus on Shabbos, or just davening and davening all day. He wouldn't remove his talus on Shabbos. Because it's like this comfort zone. And they would say about him that the only reason he got married was in order to be able to get a talus. Because the talus was like, it's this garment. It's amazing to daven in the talus, right? You daven in the talus, you cover yourself up. It's the zone. It really is. Like you put it on and you're fully enveloped in this beautiful, spectacular space of Hashem. If we scrutinize the details of talus, we'll discover there's 2 parts to it. There's the garment that you wrap yourself in, and then there's the strings that you put on. What's the difference between the garment you wrap yourself in versus the strings? The garment encompasses you. Makif. It surrounds you. You put yourself in the garment and you are enveloped in the garment. The strings, what are they? They are pointed little details. There's 32 of them. So think about it as little channels of energy, right? Actually, 32 is known as, it says there's 32 pathways of wisdom. We won't go into the number why, but you notice how the details, the tzitzis are details, right? You put on the tzitzis and there's these little things coming out and they are details. So you have the overarching and encompassing talus that you're putting on, and then you have the details, which are the strings, right? And that's 2 different parts of the mitzvah. Now, these 2 parts, right, are known as makif and pnimi. Makif, what's makif? Surrounds you. Talus is makif, it surrounds you. And then there's pnimi, which are the details, which are internal, right? We all live in two spaces all the time. There's the makif force, which envelops us. There's an overarching force that envelops us all the way. It's like an aura that you walk in. You live in an aura. And then there's the details of what happens. Like, for example, you are alive, right? Alive, what does alive mean? Alive is just a situation, much better than the opposite. But I'm alive. I'm alive means I have a being, and the being is alive, right? That's life. Do you have any clue what it means to be alive? We know what the results of being alive are, being alive. But how do you make life? We wish we knew. Life encompasses us. It's something which is above us. We don't actually, it doesn't relate to us. Can you see how it encompasses? Then there's the details of life, which is, well, look at yourself. You'll see. The ear uses life to hear. The eye uses life to see. You see how it's customized and unique? And the toes use life to, I don't know, they move around, the toes. They're alive. Life is very different for each one of us. Here's another example. All of us are Jewish. What makes you Jewish? Who's more Jewish? Moshe Rabbeinu or us? If you count a minion of 10 men, what do you need? 10 Jewish mothers or halachically converted people, and you're good. That's it. You don't need more. But you realize that Moshe is a little more Jewish than us. In what sense? Not in the encompassing sense. In the encompassing sense, we're exactly the same. We're all just Jewish. But in the details of how you express your Judaism, in the customization of it, they were different. That's the difference between makif and pnimi. Makif is the overarching. Pnimi is the details. Right? You following? So, we like to live in a makif. We like to get to a state whereby we can transcend everything, rise above it, and just get into that beautiful space called dveikus with Hashem. Dveikus means you're just in a feel-good space. You transcend everything in this world. You rise up, and you're just able to be present with Hashem. Right? When you have a relationship, what you want in the relationship is the makif, which is a sense of security, a sense of love, a sense of grounding. That's what you want out of the relationship. That's called makif. You know what real relationships are made of? They're not made of wonderful things. They're made out of a lot of little tiny events, and a lot of them very painful actually. Right? Life in its real format, when you see some people are married, and you say they were married for 40 years, and it's so beautiful. I guarantee you, those 40 years had a lot of issues. When you're looking at it from above, it looks like this wonderful, beautiful, stunning, amazing thing. From outside. Get into the details, and it's a whole different world. The other day, I was having a discussion with a young man who's already 30 years old, and finally, he decided, I'm getting married. For years, I've been trying to, push him and whatever. I gave up. He told me I'm engaged. I got engaged a couple of months ago. I'm getting married in a few weeks. I said, great, amazing. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not sure. I said, what are the issues? So he started telling me all the issues. And I'm listening, she's not really, I'm a social person. I'm a very social person. And she's just more quiet. And she has only 3-4 friends. And she doesn't go out there, so I'm not sure about if I want to do that. And I don't know, I look at all my friends, and I see they're married to social wives. So I want that also. I want to be able to go out together and do and this and that. And a whole list of things like that he described to me. And we spoke for a while, and I realized, wow. Now, I could tell him, you're out of your mind, my friend. The other person you're going to marry, she's going to be a human being. And she's going to have flaws. And what you want is to pick and choose, right? The best out of each one. That's what you want. You want to get basically... So, like one friend has that, and the other friend has this, and the other one has that. And so I want this, 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 and this, and this. Pick it all together. Those are the ones that I want.
It's like AI.
Right.
He wants to build a life intelligent.
Right.
Build
Use some
a life.
Photoshop,
Yeah.
build it, and get it done.
Yeah.
Right. And he doesn't know what to do, by the way. It's not like he says, I know I'm sugar. I know. So what should I do?
It was self-awareness.
At least he knows.
Yeah, he knows, but he's like, but I can't go ahead with this. And she's already making the invitations for the wedding, and I'm like, I'm not sure. Scary. Really, really scary. He doesn't know what it is. And what I was working with him on was how to get married first to yourself. And to show him, you're the problem, not her. He's like, yeah, I don't know why she's marrying me. First, get comfortable in your own skin. You see, we like to have the result. We don't want the work of getting there. And the problem is, in our world, I always love seeing, social media of people that I have an intense conversation with someone, and they'll tell me just how broken they are, and how many issues there are with the marriage, and with the kids, and with money, and with just a depression. And then they'll post on social media. I'm like, wow. You ever see that post?
Yeah.
And like on LinkedIn, you put out this like, the lesson that I learned, people like stories. So this happened to me, and the lesson that I learned from that was, and it's a 10-liner, and the result was I learned doesn't always be this and this way. And perfection. I'm like, but I know what you're going through. And what are you posting it for, right? And you see what happens with that. It's so detrimental to the world around us, because everyone else sees that. They're like, okay, so see, that person has a perfect life. I want that too. You see, we want the talus, the encompassing force around us. We want to have the encompassing force. We don't want to do the work that's required, the little details of it. Korach says, I'm going to give you a talus shekulat cheles. In Hebrew, when you say talit shekulat cheles, what do you mean? You mean perfection, right? Perfection. I want perfection. I don't want to go through the steps of the way. How does Torah work? It doesn't go that way. The way we work is we have a talus, and we encompass ourselves in the talus, and the talus is not made of cheles actually. It's made out of wool. And then you do kanaf, min kanaf. You put the same species on as the wool, another wool on the strings, and you put little strings out of it, and you do the work string by string by string. And on the string you put a cheles. And let's just explain how that works. You definitely need an encompassing, overarching force in your life. Of course you do. You need to have a sense of reaching into Hashem's presence. It's critical. A person needs to have bitachon b'Hashem, trusting in Hashem. You got to get to that space of just feeling that my life is enveloped by Hashem. It's perfection. And to be constantly in that space of perfection with Hashem. That means you wrap yourself up in the talus, and you warm yourself up in it, and you feel the presence of Hashem. It's great. That's called the makif. You want to feel, right, no matter what happens, everything that goes around, I'm always, but always embraced by Hashem's presence. But what Hashem wants is for me to take that and bring it down detail for detail. Do you know why Hashem doesn't allow you to go straight to the result? And why Hashem makes you go through a process, and the process is so challenging, and all the time there's these moments of brokenness? It's because it's coming, the little strands that you see are coming from the talus. It's stemming from something deeper. Which is why the talus has the strings in it. The strings are wool. They contain the DNA of the sheep. Just like we discussed when we were discussing about Shimshon. We all have hair. Hair, most fascinating part of the body. Fascinating. It's not part of you. You could just go to a barber, cut the hair, and it goes and disappears. but it's still part of you even when it disappears. Every part of you is part of you even when it disappears, of course. It's still got your DNA in it. That's true. But the hair inside on your body is designed that way. It's a disconnected part of the body that's connected to you. When it's there, it's disconnected. It can be cut without any issue. You won't even know about it. Hashem put strands of hair all over this world. In fact, if you look in life, you'll see there's like strands, little channels that are coming your way all the time. Little channels, right? You notice it? In life, channels of energy that are coming your way. A channel of energy means I want my son to get married. That's a channel of energy, right? From Hashem. And there's like things that happen when in that channel. He's not interested at all. Maybe one day you date someone and she's not interested, and then you have the issues that come up with that kid. There's all these issues. That's one channel. Then you have at the same time going on another channel, which is how you handling relationships with certain people you love, other people. And then there's your channel of parnasa, and then you'll notice that one person comes over and talks to you and another channel enters your life. All the time. There's little strands of hair all over, all the time, coming your way. What are you supposed to be doing? You're supposed to be aligning the channel with the source which it comes from. Hashem is not looking for dveikus in the sense of this overarching power. What he's looking for is dveikus that has strings attached to it. Korach wanted no strings attached, literally.
This is a Korach generation. Get it straight up to me. Just give us the understanding.
Yep. Give us the beautiful social media that I can post the picture and have the experience, and I'm done. That's all I need. I don't want the process of getting there. I want to just be bald, korach, no hair. I don't need the process. I don't want the details. I want to just get there. I told this guy, I said, you know, it's a problem. You were born in the wrong generation. Because in your generation you were born in, you live in a generation whereby you know too many people and you see too many things. It's a problem. You basically, you know, just living over here, one day in this neighborhood, and that neighborhood, and that neighborhood, and then you fly to Eretz Yisrael, and the next day you're over there and you met this person, that person, that person, you know too many people. And then you can't fly, you can just drive your car somewhere and go like, sure, there, and you meet all these people and you notice that everyone's going on with them, and then you use your social media. What do you think is going to happen to you? All you're going to see is results, no process. And so you're going to start wanting that. And that's why we don't know how to do process. So if it doesn't work, I'm out. Hence there were so many people that Shabbaton. Right? Because that's I think one of the big issues behind divorce. Sure. We live in a space that we like to see results and we don't want to see the process. Korach looks at Aaron and he says, you're a Kohen Gadol. That's beautiful. I want to be that too. I want that ability to be the Kohen Gadol, the guy in charge, the guy with all the recognition. By the way, not in a negative sense. Not just for the kavod that comes with it, for the recognition and power and prestige. The Kohen Gadol gets to walk into the Kodesh HaKodashim, gets to be in the Holy of Holies, in this beautiful zone, in the holiest of spaces. I want to be there too. I want the holiness that you get. I want it. Isn't that nice? It sounds so holy. It's like, all I want is to be holy. You know, like the Bacher who cries on Purim, he goes with his, gets drunk, and Rabbi, all I want is just to not be Yetzer Hara. You know who said that? Your Yetzer Hara said that.
Exactly.
You don't want the process. The talus is this overarching, encompassing force around you. The way Hashem wants it to work is that you get into that space, you envelop yourself in the talus, and then you start seeing string by string by string. When you put on a talus and you look at the tzitzis and these little strings, right? You look at each strand, and you unravel the strand, and in the morning when you wake up, you look at the strand, you make sure that you have each one on its own, and you separate them, and you look for each one. What do those signify? It signifies that life is comprised of mitzvahs. There's things to do, and there's ways to bring Hashem. And you got to study the Torah and bring Hashem's presence to another space, and another one, and another one, and another mitzvah, and another mitzvah. And then these things attack you. The Yetzer Hara attacks you inside your head. Poof, it enters right there. And you got to work through step by step. And you got to trust in Hashem, and you got to let go. And then the next one attacks you. And again, you got to experience the experience and walk by and feel Hashem's presence again and again and again. And it's so tough. And we're like, just get me there. I don't want to go through the process. But we have a talus, the encompassing force. And then we do the details. And the details are the mitzvahs and the things that we do. And then we cover the mitzvahs with tcheles. What's tcheles? It means you do the mitzvah, and then you work on yourself to feel, right? The tcheles means to feel. Tcheles is to be absorbed. Kilayon, lechalot. Right? That's why it resembles the color, resembles the rakia, resembles the heaven, resembles the kisei hakavod, the throne of Hashem. It's a Jew working on himself time and again, every moment, to feel Hashem's presence in the strand, in the tzitzis. What does Korach say? I don't want all that. I'm just going to have the encompassing force, feel Hashem's presence in dveikus, and I don't need to do the work in the process. And Moshe is like, don't go that way. We Jews, when we put on the tzitzis, we say the parasha, right? We put on tefillin and talis. What do? We say the parasha of tzitzis. Remember we discussed it last time? What does it say in the parasha of tzitzis? It says, "V'lo yisasuru acharei levavchem v'acharei einechem asher atem zoinim achareim." Stop being led astray, deviating by your eyes and your hearts, which make you promiscuous. What does promiscuity mean in life? It means getting married to people that are not your mate. It means looking around for a mate. And what does that mean in life? It means, who are you married to? You know what married means? When you're married, it means you give yourself over to someone. There's like a sense of, that's why when a woman gets married, she's called a kala. Right? What does kala mean in English? Bride. But what else does it mean?
Light.
Gathering.
Absorption. Klois hanefesh. Kala. Klot hanefesh.
I thought it was light.
Kala means to finish. Or complete. If you marry the right person, you're complete. If you marry the wrong person, you're finished. It's a kala. Kala is a sense of absorption. You're supposed to be a kala to the person you married, not to everybody. But look what happens to us in life. Did you ever see yourself getting married emotionally to every force out there? How many forces are you married to? How many times a day do you get married, meaning get totally absorbed in something that's going on in your life? You see the figurative concept over here? Something happens, someone upsets you, and what do? You lose it. And you get all flustered. You just got married to that thing. Right? You lost your marriage to Hashem. Only a marriage to Hashem. We are not married to anybody or anything out there. We're just married to Hashem. And it's about allowing yourself to feel that marriage. That means nothing else can heat me up. Because getting excited about something, angry, upset, anxious is all a different kind of excitement. Should never come from anything out there. It should come from one place only. We have one marriage. Who's the marriage? Hashem. Only He gives us a feeling. Only. That's hard. If you do that and you stop being promiscuous, Leman tizkiru v'asisem es kol mitzvos. Remember the translation? What does it mean, leman tizkiru? That you should. What's tizkiru? Remember. How do you say a male? Leman tizkiru. You should start being a male. Stop allowing the feminine force to dominate you. Meaning, a male is the one who is the mashpia. He gives. If you're in a marriage with Hashem, then you're able to be a male to the rest of the world. If Hashem got your feelings, then you're married to Him. So if you're a kala to Him, you're able to be a zachar to the rest of the world. Means you don't allow anything else to affect you. You build a bubble around you and you're like, I'm in the space. Nothing can enter into the space. Only Hashem's presence can enter. Last week, I was at the oil for the Yurts, I think in Tammuz. So I figured I'd go late. You know, I never actually did this before, but I went in the afternoon, so it was Thursday, and I went to the oil in the afternoon. So I arrived there at 3 p.m. Now, before you go to the oil, you're not really meant to eat. You drink, but you're not meant to eat. So I didn't want to go too late. You know, so I was like, you know, I'll go at 3 o'clock, I should be fine. Well, at 10 o'clock, I texted someone what's going on there. He said it's an hour wait here. So I came at 3, figuring it would be fine. You know the oil over there? So there was like a long line from the oil, and it goes all the way out through the cemetery, all the way into the street over there on the boulevard. And then there was a woman's line which went all the way back to the actual house over there, which is quite far, a couple hundred feet. And then the men's line went the other way, all the way to the end of the block. So quite amazing, actually. I took a video of it, of the line, and I posted a video on my status. And someone says to me, he says, did you notice that what everyone in the line is doing? I looked back at the video and said, wow, nobody in that line was on their phone. Whoever was on their phone, you could see they were davening out of it. Everybody's got a sefer preparing to go in. Davening, learning something. It was beautiful to watch. It's amazing. Anyway, so you go all the way to the end of the thing, and then you walk into the actual cemetery, right? And you walk a line, and you're supposed to go in down the road, and then you take a right, and another 100 feet, and you're in. But yeah, the line when you got in, instead of going right to the oil, went left, and it went about to the end of the cemetery the wrong way, like about 500 feet that way, and then came back. So basically, you're watching people, you're standing right next to people, and then you start realizing that the guy next to you is 1 hour ahead of you.
Wow.
I was like, whoa. And so there's a strong, you know, desire to just jump the line and go just to the other side without anyone watching, and then you save an hour. But I actually enjoyed the line very much.
Did you get to visit other Kavarim?
You go all around, you just, you know, this thing over there. And they put a fence around in case someone's a coin. Anyway, so I was in the line a bit, and I was waiting and whatever, and you know, you don't really notice exactly how long it is. It was, I got into the line at 3 p.m., I got into the oil at 6 p.m. That's what happened. And you get 60 seconds, by the way, in the oil. It's a moving line. You go around and you're out. So as I'm going in, I see on the other side, you know, about 45 minutes ahead of me, I saw Rabbi Shalom Cherubashkin.
Oh, wow.
Actually, he made a wedding last night, so I went to send that. Very nice. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to skip the line, yeah? And I jumped to the other side. I said, don't worry. When I get to the front, I want to bring with you. When I get to the front, I'll wait till the next person comes along. And that's what I did. I got to the front, and there's another guy comes over behind you, says to me, I don't understand. When I arrived, I saw you parking. How'd you do that? So that's why I'm waiting here for you to go in. Once you go in, now I'm going to go in. I'm not skipping the line. Anyway, I got to have a Farbrengen with him for about an hour and a half. So it was worthwhile. He's like a powerhouse. He stands over there and he's like, and I was talking to him about, you know, his whole story and his whole issue, and I've had a regular chat with him, but every time I said, tell me again, what happened when the judge said 27 years? Or what happened when the guy told you there's no more hope and everything? And he just lives he's like a higher consciousness. He really lives in a higher consciousness. He's like, lives it. He's like in a whole different space. So I said, I need help. I told him my story, which I told you last week. And I said, you know, so we bought this yeshiva and everything going, and now I got all these guys in yeshiva and everything's great and nice. But the bottom line is that I don't have, the bank said no, they're not giving us the mortgage. And what should I do? I mean, like, I got all these kids coming into the yeshiva next year, and I have no yeshiva because I have no way to get this $4.7 million. I don't even begin to have that. And there's legalities, and you can't put this and you can't do that. It's just, I don't know what, and I can't do the legalities till I have it, and I can't do anything. So I'm basically stuck, don't know what to do. So we're talking about it, and I told him straight. I said, on the way here, I said, I talk about it all the time, so I'm doing it myself, feeling all my anxieties and feeling all my worries. And you talk about bitachon, but then do you have it yourself? And it's really hard work. So I'm sitting with him, and the whole time we're having a farbrengen about this. He told me, for example, he said that Ben Ish Chai was the Rav of Baghdad in the early 1900s. He passed away. So he said that he writes like this, that there's a verse in chapter 22 in Tehillim which says, Becha botchu aveiseinu. I didn't see this inside, I heard from him. Becha botchu aveiseinu botchu vatfalteimu. Our fathers trusted in you. They trusted and you saved them. They were crying to you, and in you they trusted and they were not embarrassed. So he says, if you look at it, you'll see 3 levels of bitachon. 3 levels of people who are stressed out and have bitachon. Level 1 is, our fathers trusted in you. A person is in a very stressful situation, but he wants to sleep at night. But his mind is going crazy at night. So what does he do? He trusts in Hashem. At least he trusts enough to be able to go to sleep. That's all he wants, to be calm. Is it anything special? He just wants to sleep. So he trusts in Hashem. Step 2 is, they trusted in you and you saved them. There's a story in the Gemara, I think it was Mar Ukva's wife. And she had no money, nothing. And she was embarrassed because she was making her food for Shabbos. And there was no food to make. But all her neighbors are making food. So she lit the oven and put nothing in it. Just said you should look like you've... And the neighbor knew there was nothing there. So she comes into the house and she wanted to embarrass her and to look into her oven and say, what's in your house? So she barges into the house, the kitchen, wonderful neighbor, and she comes in and Maruf's wife leaves. And what looked like she left was because she was embarrassed. She left to get a spatula to get the bread out of the oven. Because she knew that Hashem would help her. That if she's in trouble like that, Hashem would help her. She walks out, and the other lady starts screaming. She says, your bread's burning. The oven was full of bread. And she came back, and she was able... I went to get a spatula. She went to get the bread out. And she got the bread out. You see what happened? She walked out. She had absolute trust in Hashem. But it could have seemed that she was ready to just go out because she was embarrassed. So even though she actually went for a miracle, she went with pure trust in Hashem, but it wasn't quite a lot better than the previous person who goes to sleep. But it could have been misconstrued. You want to know what the highest level of bitachon is? You trust in Hashem without any embarrassment. Moshe said, let's split the sea. And the sea wasn't splitting. So there was one guy by the name of Nachshon ben Aminadav who jumps into the sea, and what did he do? Yeah. He says, I'm going, and he walks inside, walks. What was he thinking? The sea goes up, the water goes over the top. He says, Hashem, if you want me to die, I'll die. I'm going in. I'm not. You said to go, I'm going.
There was no thought process.
There was no thought process. Just go. That's the highest level of bitachon. You are 100% certain that Hashem is with you, and you just go.
No limits.
No limits. Exactly. So he says to me, if you really trust in Hashem, go for option 3. What do? He says, you walk into the oil. You download a power from above, from Hashem, into you. The right place to do it. And then you walk out and you're like, okay, what to do next? And you do the next thing you think comes to your mind. That's what you do. And you go straight forward. And then you don't worry about it. You just go. And then the next day, what do you do? Next. No worries, no nothing. You just move forward. So I walked out. The next day, I called up the seller and I said, we're breaking the contract because we don't have the money and the rates have gone up and the property is not worth it. So we're leaving, and unless you want to give us $1 million off. then we can talk about it. He's like, what? He was freaking out. I said, okay. Hatzlacha. Since then, I don't know the end of the story for you. That's the middle of the story. This happened now. Since then, what do you think my mind is doing all the time? It's going into the options of what might happen if he says no. I told Rabbi Rubashkin, I said, for you, it was much more difficult. Because for me, everything's fine. It's just there's something I'm trying to do and it's not happening. For you, your very life was at stake. But it's the same principles. And I'm like, okay, so now what? Every time the mind wants to think about what to do, where to do, how to go, what's he going to say? If he says that, if he says this, and I'm not letting it go that way. No, it's every strand. You see how it is? Every strand, every little strand, find Hashem's presence in that strand. What it means is there's another little channel coming your way. Put it on, right? You get into an over-encompassing space with Hashem. You walk into the oil, Hashem's presence with me. You allow the little strands of your life in. You watch Hashem in the little strand and you fill it up with tcheles. What's tcheles? Tcheles resembles the heavens. It means I'm going to lose myself into a space with Hashem. And it's actually quite amazing to be able to do it in real life. It's really embracing the uncertainty. Like, I have no idea what's happening next. Don't have a clue. And one part of me was like, I wish I did. But it's embracing the uncertainty and feeling how awesome it is to be uncertain. Because guess what? You're always uncertain. You never have any certainty of anything. When you embrace that uncertainty, that's the tcheles. Korach said, I just want to be in that space with Hashem, the talis, shekula, tcheles, all that. I just want to be there. And Moshe tells him, nope. If you have all tcheles and you all embraced in that space with Hashem, no. Hashem wants it to happen through little strands, and on the strand you put the tcheles. Because what does that mean? It means he wants you to be married to Hashem. You put on the talis and you say, I will not be promiscuous with Hashem. I will not allow other forces to dictate what I feel. That when the mortgage falls away, the bank says no to this, I'm pushed forward. Every time I feel lost and worried and scared, etc., don't allow that feeling to take you over. You say, nope, I'm getting right into a space with Hashem. So I do what I got to do, effort and surrender. Do the work, come back to a space with Hashem. Why does Hashem do this to us? Because he loves process. He loves seeing human beings who bring Hashem into every space. That's why Korach says, I'm son of oil. You know what oil is? Oil surfaces to the top wherever you place the liquid. Oil burns. But have you ever seen oil burn? If an oil tanker spills in the ocean, will it burn? Nope. You can't burn oil. Oil never burns. You know why oil tankers in the ocean burn? Because there's a lot of parts, little things inside the oil. Oil can't burn without a wick. If you have a wick, the oil can burn. If you don't have a wick, oil will not burn. Oil fuels a wick. Korach said, I just want the oil. Oil signifies that which goes to the top. I just want that space of because I want to be with Hashem. That's all I want. I'm the son of Yitzhar. I want the oil. I want the dveikus, the space with Hashem. What does Moshe tell him? Nope. Hashem wants oil that has a wick in it. That's why it's called Kashem en atov al harosh yored al hazakan zkan Aaron sheyored al pi midotav. You need oil and you need Aaron's beard. Remember what the beard signifies? The strands of hair, the details, like the tzitzis. Tzitzis also means hair. It's the strands of hair. It's the dead little things in life that are so challenging. Like when the guy at the bank says, sorry, no mortgage, and the guy says, sorry, I'm not helping you. And like, okay, oops. Very disappointing. That's disappointing. Hashem, I'm curious to see what's next by you. Amazing. You're in the space, the zone with Hashem. But it comes about through the hair. The oil on the hair. That's why, who's the father of Moshe and Aaron? His name is Amram. Amram is Amar Nekei. Amram is the sheep. The wool sheep. The wool of the sheep. Right? The wool is the hair. What he's saying is, Hashem says, I don't want results. I'm not looking for dveikus. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for process. And it's hard work, because every step of the way you got to work it, and all the time. It's so challenging, it's so difficult. We want to just be there. And it seems so holy to be there. Like, all I'm asking for is, all I want is, I just want tranquility, to be able to learn Torah and daven and do good things. All I want is just for you, Hashem. Hashem's like, it's so nice. If you want for me, you know what I want? I want people who work hard to educate their children, who work very hard every step of the way in their marriages, who work hard on being alive, on whatever situation God places you in, to work detail for detail for detail. And to get an understanding that there's nothing at the end. When you solve the problem, there's nothing solved. What happens? You just brought Hashem into another space. And it's to enjoy the ride every step of the way. So Korach says, I want to be the Kohen Gadol. I want to be the guy to walk into Kodesh HaKodeshim, Holy of Holies. I want to be that holy man. And what does Moshe tell him? So sorry. You know how you become an Aaron HaKohen? It comes with the territory. Aaron has to work hard, really hard. What does Aaron do? Aaron goes and makes shalom bayit with people. He goes between every man and woman who are fighting, between friends who are arguing and fighting, and he works it out and he makes it happen. And Aaron does all the dirty work of working through relationships. Aaron does, and then he lights the menorah every single day. Melamed shaloshina, again and again, the same thing without fail. The devil's in the details. You want the result? There's no result there. When you see a friend and they have the perfect relationships and the perfect relationship with their kids and the marriage and whatever, everything like that, nobody has it perfect. True, they probably have it perfect in that little area that you want. So you're like, I'm going to take that, like this. You know, it says in the Ten Commandments, it says if you lo tachmod, don't covet. If you covet, just know one thing. V'chol asher l'reyecha. You're going to take the whole thing together. The whole package with all the issues. He said, but I don't want all the issues. I just want this perfection. Get used to life. Life is the process. Life is the beautiful, incredible power of wearing a talis, over-encompassing force, and then wearing little tzitzis strands and finding the tchelis in the tzitzis and the oil on the beard and the Aaron HaKohen who works hard. And when you do that, you find Hashem every step of the way, because then you're enveloped in godly energy. Then you bring real godly energy to the world. Yes, when Mashiach comes, we'll be in the Korach space. Korach's trying to bring Mashiach already. Hashem's like, we'll get there. We'll get there. But the process of getting there is the most beautiful, exquisite thing. Message is, enjoy the ride. Find Hashem every step of the way. Never ask for tomorrow to come. Be excited about now, today.
Thank you.